indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where are we missing? Oh, Jill. We're missing one council member, so we'll be right back. A second. Sorry, I didn't realize she wasn't here. I realized I forgot to bring cookies.
You spoiled us. You spoiled us. Cookies are the time.
At least we don't have the lapel mics on everybody. You know?
Well, we could each share something about how we celebrate Thanksgiving. Was any of your family there?
Vicky and I spent her father didn't have a place to go, so we had fixed it easy.
Oh, good. Good. I bet that made the day. And where does he live?
Well, he lives here in town. He's had some health issues lately by himself.
Oh, good. Oh, we're missing two. Oh, it's Tim we were missing. I thought it was Jill. Sorry, I didn't know you were here. Do you want something besides chocolate?
I love chocolate.
Oh, your chocolates are, okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're now ready to go. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is a listing of a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. It's designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. I will ask if any citizen would like to, or council member, would like to have a specific item removed from the consent agenda, and at that time, either the public or a council member may request that it be removed for action prior to the council's vote. The items on tonight's consent agenda are approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes on November the 14th, 2017, approval of the expenditures vouchers for November the 28th, 2017, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for Lakeside Lanes, approval of a change of premises for the Thai restaurant, Thai Cortez. At this time, is there anybody in the audience or on the council that would like to pull any of those items? All right, in that case, may I please have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the added expenditures of $38,164.41.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Carlson. Miller. Sheep.
Aye. We have no presentations tonight. At this time, if there is a citizen that would like to address council on any item that is not on tonight's agenda, this is your chance, your first chance. All right. We have no public hearings. We have no unfinished business. So moving on to new business, ordinance 1234, series 2017. Kathy.
Good evening. This ordinance appropriates supplemental funds and rectifying budgeted excesses and making budget revisions for the 2017 fiscal fund. This is allowed by charter to take effect after 8 months of the current year have passed. If you'll notice, I broke those down by funds. Most of these are tweaking the funds for either unforeseen expenditures that were approved by council past the budget thing, or to tweak estimates of what we thought something would cost. The two biggest ones, the $1.1 million for the Cortez Community Network, that is part of a capital projects that increased that, and some of it was a carryover from last year. When you go down to the $200,000 in the tech fund, as far as an increase goes, that was because we went ahead and we had to increase for capital projects within that also. The net effect over all the funds is we actually decreased our 2017 overall budget from $31 million down to $30 million, which is a net savings of $882, let's say, rounding that off. This will be put before the public at a public hearing, which you will set tonight, for December 12th. It says November
Says
in my
November
memo, but
12th.
it should say December.
So that should say no, that should say December, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right, in my memo it says November. On the ordinance, it is on December 12th. Are there any questions?
I have none.
Anybody?
I don't have any.
All right, if there are no questions or other discussion, may I have a motion?
Madam-
Mayor,
Go ahead, Tom. You got it.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1218, series 2017 on first reading and set a public hearing for December 12th, 2017, appropriating supplemental funds, rectifying budgeted excesses, and making budget revisions to the 2017 budget.
And I'm sorry, I just noticed something too. So we say approve ordinance 1218, but it's actually ordinance
It's
1234.
1234.
It's ordinance 1234. So you read right what we put down, and I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem, but it's actually ordinance 1234 series 2017.
1234?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1234, series 2017 on first reading. Set a public hearing for December 12th, 2017, appropriating supplemental funds, rectifying budgeted excesses, and making budget revisions to the 2017 budget.
Second.
Archibald,
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Keel,
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Miller. Aye. Archibald, I'm sorry, McLaughlin. Aye. Sheets.
Aye. Okay, so you'll just make that,
Yes.
that change, okay. All right, and then ordinance number 1235, series 2017 on the 2018 budget. Kathy?
Budget documents were submitted to our office, the Finance Department, in July. So this is quite an involved process when you consider that we're now at November, the end of November. That's how long it takes to put this together. Then meetings were held with Shane, myself, and department heads to review and amend budget requests if needed. And then City Council held budget hearings during the months of October and November, which we just concluded this evening, the last of those. This proposed budget was posted to the city's website on October 15th. We also set the mill levy for this budget. And we have to figure it three ways and accept the one that is the most restrictive. Last year, it was the city's charter that was the most restrictive. But if you look at this year it is the timber limitation that is the most restrictive. It came in at 1.21 mils. The city is obviously a flat 5.5% increase, or the state. And the city's charter is 1.30. And so we did figure our mill levy on the assessed valuations, the net assessed, at the 1.21, which technically means that we were getting just a little bit more than we did last year, because as your assessments go up, it limits what you can charge on those assessments under TIVA. There is a total of $32,368,936 that is appropriated throughout all the funds. The largest of that is the general fund in the amount of $13,842,219. When we go over these budgets here, and you can read, I'll put them into the microphone when we do them next time, but interesting thing, overall, our largest expense out of all of this $32 million is for employees. So we definitely are a service to the citizens more than anything else. We also spend about 1/6 of our entire $32 million contracting with other people to perform services for us. So that money goes out into the public to be spent by whatever company on wages, salaries, whatever. Commodities are $3.5 million. This year, the only grants that we really have that are in this portion of it is $25,500. Normally, we don't know what the grants are until after the first of the year. We do account for them. And Shane, these are broken down because the others are in capital. They're not broken down by grant. We also have $7 million across the board in capital projects. Depreciation, we have to account for about $1.5 million. And we have $1.4 million in debt service, and that is the lowest, besides grants, of any of our expenditures. Basically, a lot of that debt is between the rec center, the water fund, and the hydroelectric fund. Those are basically the ones that we have annual debt service on. And the recreation center, what we're paying back for the building every year, that is included in there also. This will go for reading on December the 12th, on second reading and approval. Are there any questions?
Council? Okay, if council has no questions, may I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve on second reading ordinance 1235, series 2017.
This is,
Yeah, it says second reading, I'm sorry. Again, it should be approved on first reading.
Oh, of course it is. First reading.
Yeah.
I get it. First reading of 1235, series 2017 is amended, appropriating 2018 expenditure setting the mill level at 2018.
I'll second. Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, Sam, resolution number 30, series 2017, on planning and building department services and materials fees.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As always, we go back through and reevaluate our fees each year. And this year is no different. Like we said in our memo here, we've been able to hold the fees down over the last couple of years. On the construction, average construction costs over the last 2 years, it actually stayed fairly constant. No increases have affected the residential building community. And in a couple of places, the commercial rates have actually gone down in 2017. This year, they're pretty stable again. There's a slight increase for home builders. On an average home, I believe you'll note in there that it's going to result in about a $55 increase in the building permit fees, which is the most affected that we have. Percentage-wise, that's a pretty small percentage increase. And then, of course, the cash in lieu fee is just if we have any new subdivision developments that come in that opt to not dedicate land for parks or open space, they can pay a cash in lieu fee. And again, that's in a big picture on most developments, $700 an acre is fairly nominal. Anyway, like I said, we've lowered rates in many instances, and the couple of times that we have raised rates have usually affected commercial items like cell tower developments, cell tower rehabilitation. We used to have a $40 permit for that. We've raised that to $100 last year. So it really affects out-of-town commercial operations more than anybody else. So do you have any questions?
Yeah, what is the home occupation permit? What is that?
Yeah, home occupation, if we have somebody that wants to come into, say, a residential zone, and it is a occupation that is allowed underneath our land use code, that is the fee that they pay to come in and have the Planning and Zoning Commission review it and make recommendation to allow to run the business out of their home. We've only got a couple, I think, that I've seen come through in the last 4 or 5 years. People have done that, so.
Council, are there any other questions, or?
I don't have any.
Okay. In that case, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion approving resolution number 30, Series 2017, setting fees and charges of planning and building department, services and material provided by the city of Cortez.
A second?
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Resolution 32, Series 2017. Linda, fees for the city clerk and the airport.
This includes the fees for both my office as well as the airport's office, the municipal airport. I don't have any fee changes, it's just adopting the same fees for the retail and the medical marijuana establishments. We've had that fee since we started our program in 2012, and I'm not recommending any changes to
Right.
that.
Well, and we did increase it at one point, but,
At the very start, we changed it
Right.
once we
But-
sort of with our retail, but this is the same fees that we do for both medical and retail for their renewals and for a new license. The only change that Russ had was he's increasing his corporate landing fees from $1.90 to $2 per 1,000 pounds published land weight.
Pretty minimal.
All right, council, any questions on these? May I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 32, series 2017, adopting fees and charges for city clerk and the Cortez Municipal Airport.
Second.
Carlson. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Aye. Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, Resolution 34, Series 2017, the lease of office space to Cortez Retail Enhancement Chain.
Your Honor, so the city owns the Colorado Welcome Center. Because we enjoy extra office space, we have historically leased it out to outside agencies that promote the city. Our current lessees are CREA and Mesa Verde Country, and the city's lease with CREA needs to be renewed. Actually, I think Mesa Verde Country's does as well, but we'll tackle that at the next meeting. So Mark Drudge, who's the director of CREA, and I sat down to go over the current lease agreement. We did make a couple minor tweaks, but really this is substantially the same as the one that council approved a few years ago. The attorney did pick up on section 12. There's some indemnification under section 12, and that's on page 45 of your packet. And he's recommending that we remove the first paragraph there. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I do, just after our discussion today, so I think this is based on maybe just information. We got some CIRSA and some other
Well,
research.
it's based on the Constitution and CIRSA, and municipal governments are not allowed to indemnify other people. And so, and also, I don't know if we can sign for the Colorado Welcome Center is the other, that's another entity, I thought, so I don't think we can.
Well, it's our welcome center.
Okay,
But anyways, you're recommending that we remove the
just the first paragraph
the
at
first
the top
paragraph.
of the page.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to Mark Drudge. There's a possibility that he would want to say, well, geez, can we pull the whole indemnification and us not cover you as well? I don't know if you have.
I don't have a problem with that. If
You
they
don't have a
want it.
problem with that either?
No.
So would your recommendation be that we just strike the entire section 12?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay,
Because they're required to have insurance, so it should cover any situations that come up.
right. Okay, so I guess the staff recommendation is to approve Resolution 34, Series 2017, with the amendment to the agreement that Section 12 indemnification be struck. And so we could have that stricken, have the mayor sign the new copy, and then we'll send it back to CREA for their signature.
All right, council, any questions about that? May I have a motion then?
Let's see if I can do this right. Madam Mayor, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 34, series 2017, approving a lease of real property between the City of Cortez and Cortez Retail Enhancement Association with the removal of Section 12 indemnification of that whole section. Is that good enough?
That gets it.
Yep,
Okay.
great.
Second.
Miller,
Aye.
Archibald,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
McLaughlin,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, letter of support for Needful Provision, Inc. Shane.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'm going to, please just take one and pass it on. So Mr. David Nettle had sent me a little supplemental information this afternoon. What I'm handing out is a letter of commitment that he submitted to the USDA. He's here to kind of explain his project, but broadly, they're applying to the USDA for a grant. They would like to take and go into an abandoned building in Cortez, do some urban gardening in there. One, kind of teach people how to grow at this level, and then secondly, take food that's actually grown out of this project and contribute part of it to Grace's Kitchen or Food Pantry. And so how this entails with the city is USDA wants, the requirement is that the city would have an urban farming planning committee. And basically what this committee would do is take a look at city's policies and say, council, you know, you really need to change your ordinance because you don't allow, you know, tilapia to be grown in the city, you know, and so if you want to have this fish processed or whatever else, you may want to update your code. So the USDA just wants to know that the city is considering creating this committee that would advise you on how to make us more friendly for urban farming. Because the circle, council's never discussed that. I know you've never discussed it. The letter is really kind of ubiquitous on that point, just saying that we would schedule Mr. Nuttall to come in January, just kind of present some more information to council that you'd consider creating something like that. So it doesn't lock us in, but I think it gets him to where he needs. But again, since he's the expert on what he'd like to do, and I'm not, I would recognize Mr. David Nuttall in the audience, and with council's pleasure, ask him to maybe present a little bit more on this.
David, would you like to take this opportunity to?
I have a handout on the help expedite.
Thank you very much.
USDA is offering $400,000 community food security grants to communities with a high level of poverty. And this community happens to qualify, as most of you know. So we have to match that $400,000, which my charity is prepared to do. My charity is Needful Provision. We've been doing community food security projects for more than 2 decades. The last one we just
And David, sir, would you mind just going to the podium just so the record can pick you up? Please.
Yeah.
at the podium.
Yes, sir. Just so the recording system can pick you up.
Yeah, I have a combat-related hearing problem, and 3 years around that, and the acoustics in here are not favoring what I can hear or not hear. So if I miss what you say, well, forgive me. But what USDA is asking city councils to do if we apply for this grant, which we propose to do, we're in the process of doing that, is be willing to consider the formation of an urban farming committee. Now, the foods that we produce, and we will have our own production, and we will be providing fresh local foods to the Good Samaritan Food Bank here in Cortez. They currently have an average of 579 clients that they're feeding every month. So most of you probably know this county has double the rate of child poverty
that the state has. 83% of the students qualify for free lunches. This is a highly impoverished area. It's food insecure. And for that reason, USDA will probably, or at least we will have a good chance of qualifying for this grant. We will be producing in an earth-sheltered greenhouse that produces food 365 days a year because it's solar and furnace heated, it's solar zeolite cool. We use grow beds with subsurface micro drip irrigation. We use integrated production systems that are all organic. The systems that have been most successful for us in other urban areas, we use quail because most cities don't like poultry. We use quail for meat and eggs, and people love the quail eggs after they learn how to use them. We use the quail manure for nutrients for algae. We use the algae to feed a algae-eating fish, tilapia, which is a great eating fish. The fillets are sold in the supermarkets. We use the fertigation water from the fish. That's the water with the waste material to fertilize and irrigate the crops, vegetables, herbs, and we have also grown cereal grains like grain amaranth. So it's a complete production system. When we provide meats and fish to a food bank, it either has to be frozen or canned, and we go through the inspection process and the FDA process. What USDA is asking us to do is also demonstrate urban farming in large vacant structures. And if we can get one, that'll be great. That's all we need to do. And we're going to work with FFA, 4-H, junior colleges, trade schools, colleges. If we can get 1 or 2, 3 people who are interested, young people who are interested in urban, it's highly profitable. We'll train them, we'll coach them, we'll help them get the funding, we'll help them obtain the leases. When a building is leased, we put down a pond liner, we do all sorts of things to protect the building so the buildings are not damaged. One of the tricks to urban farming is that you reduce your energy costs. You do that with an agreement with the local utility company, in this case Empire Electric, or you use an urban form of alternative energy system. The Cohilo wind generator is one that's been approved for urban areas. It's basically silent, it's vertical, it's highly efficient, and it will facilitate urban farming by reducing the power requirement for the grow lights. So you get inside of a structure, you have to have the right type of grow lights, or you're not going to produce crops. We've tried sunlight tubes. They don't give enough light. We've tried several things, don't give enough light. So you've got to have good grow lights, and you've got to provide the power. So basically, we're not asking anything of you all tonight other than to approve a letter which says to USDA that you will be willing to consider the creation of an urban farming committee. What that committee does is decide if we have 2 or 3 people interested in urban farming, you decide, are you going to allow poultry, or are you going to allow, you say, no, we don't want poultry, they're noisy, are you going to then allow quail? If you allow fish, are you going to allow the release of the wastewater? Well, that's not a problem with us because we don't release the wastewater. It's biologically, we use it for fertigation. It's biologically filtered by the plants, physically filtered by the sand. We use it in grow beds, so we don't have any releases. Everything we do is integrated, is organic, there's no chemicals, there's no contamination, so it's a very clean system. We just finished, completed a system in Greensboro. It's actually, we ended up with a 9-acre complex right inside the city limits, a 9-acre farm. This couple had held on to this land, they didn't want to do anything with it. And they found out what we were doing, and we had organized 34 Mountain Yard refugee families from Vietnam, and they are the ones who are farming that farm. They have poultry, they have herbs, vegetables, boar goats for meat, and they produce about 3 acres upland dry rice, which is the type of rice that they love. And the farmers are going crazy. They want to in the local area. They want to learn how to grow it. It's highly profitable. It's a great crop. So we have done exciting things with urban farming. We're getting ready to do urban farming in Afghanistan and in Kenya. The reason being, when we have a system where we can collect and store enough water for subsurface micro-drip irrigation to produce crops 365 days a year. And we produce under harsh conditions. In Afghanistan, extreme drought, cold, wind, harsh conditions. We have earth-sheltered greenhouses. So and Kenya has extended drought problems and heat problems and other problems. The earth-sheltered greenhouses are protective. They allow us to grow. We have an e-book on entrepreneurship training that's available worldwide. This is the hard copy. We've been training people all over the world in entrepreneurship, which includes agriculture. And we have a number of business models that are proven based on inventions that I have created over 50 years of work in developing this type of technology. So we provide business models to the entrepreneurs we train. We don't charge them any fees, royalties, or anything else. They're free to use it. We have one example, we have a biosecure poultry house with special air filtration system that we use in areas where there's a bird flu threat in Africa. We have our urban farming system in here. We have a bunch of other urban business models, and we create other business models as needed. The first entrepreneurship class I had was 1960 in South Vietnam. It was combined entrepreneurship and agriculture. I had 34 tribals, never been to school a day in their life, spoke 3 different languages. They were from several different villages that all had urgent needs in a number of critical areas. Within 18 months, those 34 students had created 17 new businesses that were all successful. So you don't have to have PhDs to train to create new businesses. That's one of the things that I think they need in this area. They need to start creating businesses that will employ people. Because these kids are graduating, they have very, very few job opportunities in this area, so they either leave or they get a minimum wage job to make do. So we have done things that solve problems, and that's what we're hoping to do here. This is an opportunity area in the sense, as far as food security is concerned, you're in the pits. People are insecure from a food standpoint. Over 35% of the county, 35% of the population in this county are on some type of welfare. Over 3,400 are on food stamps. And I've got all these numbers from the people that deal with them every day. 83%, as I told you, 83% of the students qualify for free lunch. That's pathetic. It shows you economically you're going down the tube. So we're trying to step in and help with, and USDA requires that we provide the food to the food bank, and that's what we will be doing. 100% of our food will, NPI's food produced locally will go to the food bank. The farmers we train to do urban farming, we will require in exchange for the training and all the assistance that we provide and help with the financing and everything else, we will require that 10% of their crops go to the food bank. So we're going to start feeding people. So that's a long spiel for a minimal request. All we need is a letter saying you'll consider a committee, an urban farming committee. And we have to have that letter to submit our grant proposal, which is due the 4th of December. So I appreciate the fact that, you know, this is a rush request. USDA did not give us a lot of time. They gave us basically 30 days to do everything that we have to do, and the list is fairly long. So I appreciate your attention and your consideration, and I apologize if we didn't give you more time to look at it, but again, we're only asking that, and USDA is only asking that you will consider the creation of that committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
And with the draft letter, you'll see that I did weed through our comp plan, and we did have quite a bit of supporting policies in our comp plan for just around what Mr. Nettles trying to do. So I think there's at least a lot of merit for council considering doing this urban farming committee. I'm not saying that we're going to end up doing that, but I think there's at least enough merit and direction that we've had from our citizens in the past that this is something that the city could consider and have further discussions about.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. This is the direction I think more and more communities, especially in impoverished areas, are going to have to go. And I commend you for your vision on stuff like this. So.
Is that the motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson. Sheep.
Aye. All
So,
right.
Mr. Nettle, if you just want to stick around, we can have the mayor sign it in about 10 or 15 minutes when the meeting's over, and we can just send you with it. Okay.
Okay. We have no draft resolutions or ordinances, no other items of business. Is there a citizen at this time that would like to address council? Don't everybody jump up at once. No city attorney's report, possible update?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I have a lot for you. First, I just want to give council an update. Staff has been meeting with Mesa Verde National Park representatives to just discuss kind of our desire to keep ticket sales for the national park in the city. When the Mesa Verde Museum Association vacated their lease, to us, the biggest loss was just having the availability of ticket sales in the city. This year, they sold north of 25,000 tickets at the Welcome Center. So, not only are we serving a lot of our guests and people here, but the park receives $5 per ticket, which isn't a lot of money, but that's $125,000 of revenue that was generated in there. Wow. So we are meeting with them. We're talking about a lot of different options. One of the options are having city staff sell tickets there. Another option is maybe the park sending 1 or 2 rangers down and us just giving them a little booth to sell them, and kind of the third bigger option is we've had a couple groups that want to come in and fill up the retail space, and the idea would be, okay, well, could you do that and sell tickets? Is that a possibility? So it's not quite ready to go to council yet as far as more of a discussion. I hope to have something in January for you, but I wanted to let you know that we've continued to meet and are hoping to come up with a solution to keep those ticket sales in the city.
What kind of retail is under consideration?
What's that?
What kind of retail is under consideration?
I would prefer not to say right now, Your Honor. We've had a couple groups that are interested in doing it, but just because we haven't got out to proposal and nothing formal, I don't think right now is the appropriate time. But when the microphone's off, I'll whisper it in your ear, okay? Secondly, I want to give everybody a heads up that Monday, so this next Monday, December 4th, we are going to have a public meeting to discuss the paths to Mesa Verde Trail. So it's basically getting an update from the consultants. They've been out doing tons of work, meeting with tons of prospective property owners and trying to work out alignments. So that will be held 6 to 8 at the Recreation Center. And I should start out by saying if you love meetings, then you will really love next week, because we also have on Tuesday, the next day on 12/5, we're having an open house at the Rec Center. This is to give the public information on the upcoming sales tax reduction extension at the Rec Center. So the open house will be from 10 to 6, and then we're going to have 3 presentations that day. We're going to do a 10:45, a 4 p.m., and a 5:30. So feel free to come and stop in at any one of those, or hang out with staff all day. And really, so the idea of this is the Friends of Rec and really the group that's been working on this sales tax proposal for the city, the volunteers, really discuss the idea. We'd like to get out and really have a big reception with the public and talk to them, because if there is any questions about the way that it's worded, if there's any concerns from the citizens, we have to have this ballot set in January. And so this is kind of, in my opinion, kind of our one chance to get out, hear from the public, let them know what we want to do. And if there needs to be a revision or a tweak to the question, we could get that in front of council in December and have you discuss it before we set it in January. You know, once we set it in January, if we get feedback in February that, hey, look, this part doesn't work for people and it's going to go down, we're kind of stuck with it. So that's kind of the big reason why we're doing this. So anyway, that'll be basically all day on Tuesday, the 5th. And I also want to let you know that the committee has weighed in. They have looked at the kind of draft question the council had looked at. And right now they're offering up a couple of real minor changes for council to consider. So no matter what, you'll look at something in December for the question, but they're super minor changes they thought would make it more clear to the public what we're asking for. So that'll be coming to you regardless in December. Next, I'm on my second page.
How many pages?
Just 1.3. Next, I am happy to announce that our new intern, her name is Peyton Heitzman, and she'll start with the city on February 26th. So she and her significant other own property in Denver. She has a job, so just getting them transferred to the area, she needed a little bit more time. So anyway, she'll start on the 26th. And then finally, just final reminder, and this is to council and the whole community, that we're going to have Mark Jackson, the Mark Jackson of Three Amigos fame, in the city this Friday, December 1st. He'll be speaking at the high school. This is
about 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir, 7. We're encouraging people. The doors will open at 6:15. If it's like other events we've had in the city, a lot of people are going to show up. So I would say if you get the First National Bank, get your tickets. They're sponsoring it. It's awesome. And please come and celebrate when the Broncos had a football team. Because it's I'll be sitting there with one lone tear going down my cheek the entire speech, I'm sure. And so that's all, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any council reports?
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, on November 17th, a Park and Rec meeting was held at the Rec Center, and there were three basic topics or items that were discussed. The first item was a discussion on the capital projects for the coming year. There was a discussion on the pickleball courts. Its work is being done right now, and they're right in the middle of that. And there was also a discussion on the infills at the Rotary Park and the South Softball Complex with that new infill mix that's going to be put down. It's going to make it safer and better for the players and the people using the infills. Also, there was talk on the lighting that if you've seen the south part of Park de Vida, the lighting that's going up at that end, and possible funding for the North Lights, so that we can get people walking around there in the dark all the time.
We want that space to be used 24/7.
So that's going to be good for our public. Also, a playground on the south softball complex. Since the old playground is out of compliance, they're going to, down at the, where they play softball down the southern part of town. The next item was the debriefing of the Evans property and the coexistence of horses and bikes using the same property, and it seems like it's working out. So that's a good thing. Also, there was an item, the last item was the community garden at the rec center. There was discussion on the expansion of that community garden. The adults take care of the garden. There's a possibility of 10 more boxes, classes for adults. The Playgrounds Days also uses the community garden as well. So that was our meeting.
Good. Lots of stuff. Sean?
Mesa Verde had lots of stuff too, but from somewhere from my house to here, my notes did not come with me, so I'm going to just wing it.
Okay.
So Jill may have to help. So we met last Tuesday, and a lot of our discussion was about the budget, and it was approved in contingent of what council decided as far as their percentage and what the county also decides. So we did approve that. We talked about Kelly's 2018 plan and what she wants to do. And there was a really neat national-wide campaign, and it had numbers and everything, and I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but you'll get the gist of it. There's a national-wide campaign going on, and it's about time.com. And what it is it weighs in on how many vacation days people forfeit a year, and it was like 63 million vacation days are forfeited every year that people aren't taking. And so so the campaign is, it's about time you took your vacation. It's about time you visited Mesa Verde Country. It's about time to travel. And so Kelly's wanting to piggyback on that campaign and bring that into Mesa Verde Country of come see us. Take some of that vacation time instead of losing it and come see us. And so she's wanting to piggyback on that. And then most of her plans are to continue what she's doing, but to do more of it and to do it better and that type of stuff. So it sounds like that campaign is really going to be a very good campaign and nationwide. So that was a lot of it. Jill, help.
I think that was, she talked about her budget planning. She talked about changing. We had a little bit of a discussion about whether or not print media was still the way to go versus going more social. And she said there's actually been sort of a resurgence in print because millennials feel it's retro. So they're going to
does that mean they'll use it?
I guess. So they're going to keep that going. Talked about the Ancient Voices podcast. We talked about changing the time. We already said about changing the time for meetings.
Ancient Voices, that's the one that they can tune in on their
the
radio?
podcast, yeah.
Yeah, you can download it and then you can listen to it.
And do your tour?
Do your tour.
Yeah, and actually, if you
That's
haven't pulled it off, it's kind of neat.
It's pretty neat.
I'm not that retro yet to do a podcast.
Jeez. All right.
So listen to the feature.
We had a long discussion about printing and mailing charges.
It's amazing, the postage.
The annual
charges
postage
for
budget's
sending out all those travel
$27,000.
letters. It's incredible.
No. So. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Any other committee meetings anybody went to? All right. At the workshop this evening, we continued with our budget hearings, and we heard presentations from John Brooks regarding special events and the Welcome Center. Kathy Moss gave a presentation on the Finance Department and lodger's tax. Linda Smith on the City Clerk, Eric Aikenoy in the Library, Carla Odell from Municipal Court, Matt Cashner from Human Resources, Roy Lane on the Police Department. Shane talked about the city council and the city manager's budgets, and there was continued discussion on the fee, water fee increase for next year. And that's all we had time for. So, is there anything else for the good of the city?
So, good, let's go home.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
No mas.
So what was your problem with Carlson?
I had a case for yesterday.